let's kick off to Dell yesterday. Big announcement, big quarter. I'll let you go first on this one. I'll take the next one.
Yeah, all in all, I mean, the company did well. And I think it's a testament to their diversification. They have PCs, they have infrastructure, and they have VMware. And whether you want to look at VMware as a software play or a cloud play or a quasi, that they really are a quasi. Most of the revenue comes from software, but they're, as the rest of the industry, moving to everything as a service. I mean, listen, the PC group crushed it. 8% revenue increase. They made $1 billion in OpEx. And I know everybody loves to drag on PCs as being old and unprofitable and horrible. But listen to that. They made $1 billion in OpEx, and R&D and SG&A isn't massive. So, they pull a tremendous amount of that to the bottom line for cash. The interesting thing about PCs were that both consumer and commercial were up, and I need to get underneath this, but HP Inc. was actually down in commercial, which was interesting, but Dell was up. Their dates don't exactly match, so I'm trying to figure out what happened here. Infrastructure was down 4%. Again, not surprised. IT has pulled back. And they've shifted expense to IaaS, PaaS, and SaaS, which makes sense. It's hard to even install infrastructure equipment. We saw this with Cisco. Not surprised. Lenovo did grow, but Lenovo, their infrastructure, they're heavily weighted to the public cloud, right? Where Dell and Cisco, and for that matter, HPE are not. Finally, VMware was up 8%. They had a lot of triple-digit, double-digit discussions on product lines with that I really like. But I know this is easy for me to say, but I think people want to see double digits out of VMware, right? As a growth play.
Yeah, I think you caught a lot of that there, Pat. I mean, look, Dell is a big, broad, diversified company that touches a lot of things. What I was looking for this quarter was growth year over year. Last quarter, the company was within a couple of percent. I said the big bellwether turning point moment for the company would be, can it return to growth? And it did that by a couple of points this quarter, overall revenue. The powerhouse of this quarter, without a doubt, has been client computing or PC. We saw it with the chip makers first. AMD's huge numbers. It was the strongest part of Intel's number this last quarter. You saw Lenovo had great numbers, Dell, and then in a moment I'll share a little bit, like you said, about HP, all really good numbers. And in the case of Dell, it was revenue-wise a record breaker for the company. VMware is like a steady Eddie. It's been like 10% every quarter. This was 8%. It's the strength of hybrid cloud, because even though the infrastructure deployments have slowed, companies are tying their on-prem infrastructure to the cloud, and VMware is one of the key capability enablers of this hybrid movement that we have going on. Probably my biggest alarmist moment with Dell is just what it's doing with its ISG business. That business has just not been able to recoup, and for the reasons I mentioned. It's pandemic driven. Its on-prem spending has declined. You are seeing more subscription. You're also seeing a pivot. The company talked about its Project Apex, which is its big as a service movement. We are seeing a pivot to more and more even on-prem spend being delivered, deployed, and packaged like a cloud offering, whether that's AWS doing Outposts, which kind of started that movement. But then you have HPE doing GreenLake. You have Lenovo TrueScale. You've got Dell now. What it was calling Dell Tech on Demand is now called Project Apex. Cisco announced a pretty significant effort to move into this space. So that might have an impact short term to revenue, but in the long term, it's going to be very good for Dell. So just something to kind of keep an eye on there. Last thing I'll say is the cash flow created was good. I think it was over $4 billion in debt paid off. And it's actually getting the company closer in ratio to some of what they would call investable grade. And that's going to improve the company. I'm still really watching that 13D filing and the spinoff of VMware. The company said nothing about it, but that's something I've got my eyes on very, very closely in the future quarters, because so much value for the company and shareholders will be unpacked after a decision is made with what the company is going to do with VMware.